My parents demanded that I change the date of my wedding so that my sister could get engaged. I told her boyfriend about the texts she was sending to her ex-boyfriend behind her back. My parents say they will cut me off. You can really help me with this because I've been thinking about it for a long time. Jake, my boyfriend of 8 months, is 30 years old, and he is coming down on my 28th birthday. Everything was going well with our wedding plans in October until my parents told us something shocking last week. As background, my younger sister is 25 years old and her name is Mia. In our family, she has always been the favorite child. She's been seeing her lover, Tom, 26M, for almost 2 years. They have always loved Mia very much and treated her like a princess in almost every part of our lives. While I don't want to seem mean, I've always felt like there were some places where I was better than Mia, but never got credit for it. As an example, I got all A's in high school and played volleyball, while Mia was a dancer. Her successes were somehow greater than mine. I know cheering deserves the same, don't get me wrong. It doesn't get as much attention as other sports, but would it have killed my parents to be as excited about my events? I guess you could say I got used to my parents not being around and learning not to expect much from them. Because of this, I grew apart from Mia. I was young and thought she was to blame for everything, but I knew she wasn't. Everything changed for me when I met Jake in college. He is the love of my life. Just like everyone else, he helped me see that I deserved love and care. Jake taught me that everyone was different, and if other people didn't see they had done, it was their loss. In addition, I saw that it wasn't fair to blame Mia for everything when our parents were really to blame. So I chose to try to restore the link between us that we still had as sisters. I started to talk to her more often and let her know she could talk to me about anything. She was, of course, cautious at first. She finally felt more at ease talking to me, though. We would talk about almost anything, no matter how silly or important it was. Even though we had some different tastes and choices in life, I was glad that our relationship was getting better. It felt like we were finally becoming the sisters we had always wanted to be. I have always wanted to be. She was the first person to know when Jake finally asked me to marry him. I was happy, and she was too. She couldn't wait to help me plan my wedding. At the time, everything looked great. That's why I was completely shocked when my mom called last Wednesday. The call started in a simple way. It was strange that Mom asked about wedding plans since she hadn't shown much interest before. I should have known something was wrong. After chatting for a while, she got right to the point. Tom and Mia have chosen to get married. When she said those words, I was so happy. My sister was going to get married. What could be better? Then I thought about what my mom had said about getting married. That threw me off a bit. Mia told her that Tom had been teasing her about proposing by asking her about her ring size and telling her to buy a new dress, among other things. I asked my mom what she meant. Mia liked to make everything seem more beautiful and better than it really was, even though these were pretty clear signs. To keep Mia from being let down, I didn't want her to have high hopes. When I asked Mom if she was sure that Tom was going to propose, she said yes. I thought this was the end of the call, but there was one more surprise. But I wasn't going to be happy this time. Because Tom and Mia were now engaged, my mom begged me to call off the wedding. I was shocked. I asked her to explain because I thought I had gotten it wrong. That's not true. She was totally serious. Call off the wedding? Jake and I had waited 10 months because we were set on having the wedding of our dreams and wouldn't settle for less. The chefs and other businesses had already been paid in part. Not to mention the trouble of rearranging everything. Moving everything back a year would cost a lot of money. I don't know what happened over Mom and Dad, but when we didn't have enough money for the place, they offered to pay for it. I thought they did it to beat out Jake's parents, but I was too focused on my parents' increased interest in my life to notice how mean they were. That's not the worst part, though. You still don't know why I should put off my wedding because someone is said to be engaged. Mom then said that Mia wanted to be the center of attention for a year with pictures and posts on social media about her engagement. I had no idea what to do. Who makes their sister call off the event, get married, and lose money on a silly thing like social media? I told my mom that I wouldn't talk about my wedding anywhere else if I didn't agree to put it off, but she insisted that they would take back all the money they had promised for the wedding. At this point, they were basically threatening me because their beloved child was interested in getting attention. I told my mom that this was stupid and not fair. We fought for a while, and she kept saying that I was selfish and didn't care about Mia's feelings. She wouldn't tell me how she felt, but she did say that they wouldn't pay for the place if I went ahead with it. I was shocked. I didn't deserve this. I had given up everything for Mia my whole life, and now, just as I was about to have the day of my dreams, it was taken away from me, because they were so angry and tired. I did something I didn't think I'd do. Tom is engaged to Mia, and I called him to tell him something he didn't know about her. We went on a double date with Mia and Tom when everything was great. It wasn't often that we all had time to spend together, and I remember being really happy about it. For once, Everything seemed fine as we laughed and told stories. In the evening, Mia and I stopped to go to the toilet. While Mia gave me her phone to hold while she washed her hands while we put on makeup. Suddenly, there was a text message on the screen. Mike asked if they could get together again. My heart beats faster. I knew that Mia had dated a man named Mike before, but I thought they were no longer together. I had to ask Mike who he was and why he wanted to meet up again. Mia got squirmy right away. She tried to brush it off by saying it was just an old friend getting in touch. But I could see that she was scared in her eyes. That's why I asked her again if she and Mike were seeing each other. She said that there had been some texting back and forth, but nothing important. When I asked her if Tom knew about it, she rolled her eyes and said that he didn't need to, because it was nothing. I know it doesn't matter what my sister does, but Tom seemed like a nice guy who loved Mia. I just couldn't get rid of the feeling of unease. I didn't worry about it, because Mia later told me she wasn't talking to her boyfriend. My mind went crazy when Mia tried to take away my happiness. When I called Tom, I told him everything about the text I had read that day. I also warned you. Tell him to keep an eye on his girlfriend. Now that I look back, I see that this was a mistake. Of course I wasn't telling Tom the truth, but I did tell him how I did it. It's too late now, though. There was another call from my mother 2 days after my conversation with Tom, and I was glad I wasn't with her. It sounded like she was yelling like crazy, like something terrible had happened. Then, what she said hit me. I had made a big mistake. Tom must have called Mia and told her they needed to talk. As if she were going to get married, Mia got all dressed up. But when she got there, Tom was waiting for her, and was very angry. She was told what I had said, and he asked if it was true. Mia. At first she said no, but Tom finally asked for her phone. She then came to his aid and told him to trust her. Tom ended his romance with Mia in the end. They would never forgive me for this. In the background, Mia was swearing at me, and Mom was also yelling at me. I kept saying sorry and telling them I did it because they told me I had to stop my wedding, which I had worked hard on. After that, my dad chose to take back the money they had put down for the place. I thought I had lost everything at that point. My parents, Mia, and getting married. I was sure Jake would have been mad at me after hearing what were the facts. I tried to call Mia and talk to her about it. But she didn't answer or see my texts. While I was on a work trip, Jake didn't know that our wedding was in danger, in part because of me. It was very stressful, and I felt bad that I broke up Mia's relationship, even though it wasn't entirely my fault. I finally told Jake everything when he got back from his work trip. It made me feel better that he was there for me and promised that we would figure things out together. He helped me understand that I was just being honest, and I should have done that even sooner. Jake and I chose to go through with the wedding, even if it meant spending less. We started to think of ways to cut costs. We called and talked to relatives and friends, telling them what was going on and asking for help. To our surprise, one of Jake's friends stepped in and used one of his contacts to help him find us a great place at a price we could afford. We only need to push back the wedding a little longer, which I don't mind given what's going on. I kept trying to get in touch with my parents through it all. Writing this makes me wonder why I did what I did. At the time, I was afraid of letting people down. My parents. And I felt terrible about it. But they refused to give in. They said they wouldn't come to my wedding if everything went as planned. Even though there were problems, the wedding plans went on and things started to come together. We found out, though, that some members of my family are SVPs and would not be going or did not answer at all. I could figure out that the news had spread without being Sherlock Holmes. One of my aunts says that my mom and Mia made me out to be a bad girl from a soap opera who couldn't stand seeing her sister happy and lied to ruin it. Also, they changed the story. At first they said Mia was already engaged and about to get married. I got engaged and wanted everyone to notice me. Ignoring me was one thing, but lying about who I am was quite another. I'm just tired at this point. After everything that had happened, I just couldn't have a wedding where I looked and felt my best. But I also can't let my folks control me like they have all my life. People charge me of being jealous and angry because I messed up Mia's life. Mia is very sad. I haven't talked to her since what happened, and I feel bad even though I know I did the right thing. So AITA, please don't push back my wedding and tell Mia's boyfriend that she is cheating on him. Change 1. Since my last post a few days ago, there has been a lot of backlash. I've been talking to my parents, but not about what you might think. They want me to say sorry to Mia and make things right with Tom. They even said they would disown me if I didn't do what they said. Jake has been very helpful throughout this. He told me we did the right thing and that we should now focus on our wedding. Mia did finally get in touch with me, though. She was furious and upset, and she said I was ruining her life and preventing her from being happy out of spite. The chat was tough. I tried to tell her what I thought, but she wouldn't listen. No matter what she did, She claimed that I had no right to get involved in her relationship. I stopped loving her and asked her who gave her the right to think she could have any say in my wedding plans, which, as you may remember, began long before she was even engaged. Before I could even talk about the lies she and her mother had been telling about me, she hung up. As the family. As the conflict spread like flames, I got a call from Meg that I wasn't expecting. My old friend hadn't been heard from in a long time. Meg and I hadn't talked in a while since she moved away for college, and now we only talk on social media. Mia, on the other hand, had been in touch with her for a lot longer. They were buddies until they were in their early 20s. Meg told of another scary case of Mia cheating on her husband that happened about a year ago. Meg was having a party for her 25th birthday. Mia was also there, but her ex-boyfriend Tom wasn't with her because he was said to be on a trip by this point in the night, when almost everyone was drunk. Meg saw Mia flirting more with different male guests, including her boyfriend. At first, Meg thought it was just Mia's normal behavior. She had always been flirty. Meg realized she hadn't seen Mia or her partner in a long time when the party was over and everyone left. In the other room, they were caught in the act. Mia and Tom had been dating for 2 or 3 years at the time, so this was even more shocking. It was clear that she had added to Meg's pain. I couldn't believe this had been kept from Tom for so long. Why didn't anyone at the party tell him this? Meg and Mia are no longer friends because of what happened. Mia didn't do anything by chance. Meg told me after she found out about everything. She did this all the time and always got away with it. I was shocked by the new facts. Mia's cheating on her husband wasn't a one-time thing, it was part of a routine. Meg was just asked to tell Tom straight as a favor. This is what I want to do. My fiancé went to see Tom, who was also not feeling well. He was having doubts about everything. And even though he didn't say it, I think he was mad at me for believing what I said. So it would be better if someone else told you this bad news instead of me. I also didn't want to do it because I didn't want to make Mia even more jealous. Tom wanted to meet in person to talk about things as soon as Meg told him this news. I agreed. I hoped we could work things out, or at least make things clear. When we met in a nearby coffee shop, it was clear that what had happened had still shocked him. The details Meg gave were just. He felt another jolt. But he was calm and sure he had made the right choice. To add to that, Tom told me how he and Mia broke up. Mia was right when she thought Tom was going to ask her to marry him. When he found out Mia was cheating on him after our conversation, she finally admitted it. He was upset, but he liked how honest I was. He said that finding out the truth later, maybe after they got married, was worse than knowing it now. He told me that he had known for a while that their relationship wasn't right but couldn't put his finger on it. Tom told me that he was going to take some time to grieve and think about his life after we talked for a long time. He thanked me for being brave enough to tell him the truth, even though it was hard. I felt better after our conversation, because I knew I had done the right thing by being honest with Tom. Things with my family have not gotten better. My parents still support Mia and say I did something wrong, and need to make things right. They don't get why I did what I did, why I only cared about Mia's pain and ignored the fact that she cheated on me. Friend and extended family members who heard about the situation also gave them a lot of support. A lot of them were shocked by what my parents did and told me I was brave for sticking up for what was right. I felt a lot of different feelings. But I'm thankful for the support of people who see things the way I do. I am trying to stay upbeat and keep making plans for my wedding. Even though my parents warned me not to, Jake and I have decided to go ahead with our plans. We've made some changes to the budget and are now looking for ways to make the wedding special without spending a lot of money. Please help. Even though I know this isn't the end of the drama, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm not going to let my folks' favoritism or my own actions control my life any longer. Now is the time for me to think about Jake and my happiness. Hello everyone, this is Update 2. It seems like my life is getting more difficult all the time. 4 days after my first report, things changed dramatically, and in a way I did not expect. Things got worse just when I thought they couldn't get worse. I was at work trying to focus on my work when Jake called me right away. He seemed worried, and he told me to go home. Right away. I ran back quickly because I thought something bad had happened. When I got there, I could tell Jake was clearly upset. He put a letter under the door and gave it to me. It was sent by a lawyer who works for my parents. After Mia's proposal fell through, they told me they would sue me for slander and mental harm. I was shocked. The people I lived with were going to court against me. The letter explained how what I did had caused Mia a lot of mental pain and hurt her image. It asked me to publicly apologize and take back what I said about Mia cheating on her husband and a big payment. My parents have gone too far in their desire to get back at me. While I read the letter, my phone began to shake. It was Mia. I finally picked up the phone when she kept calling, hoping to hear back. Mia's voice was angry and sad at the same time. She yelled at me and said that I had ruined her life and she had nothing left. She said that she had lost her job when Tom told their common friends and coworkers that she was cheating on him. The word. It had spread like wildfire, and all of a sudden people were talking about her and criticizing her. People thought she was a problem, so they fired her. I think Mia got what she deserved after my parents gave her that legal scare. I tried to talk her down by telling her she needed to take responsibility for what she did, but she wouldn't listen. She told me I was jealous and angry because I had always wanted her to fail. The chat left me tired and without hope. For the rest of the night, Jake and I talked about our other options. We didn't have the money to go to court with my parents, but we also couldn't let them pressure us to give in. They must have known that we were already trying to figure out how to pay for our wedding, and that this court battle would only make our choice stronger. He couldn't believe what was going on but told me we had a strong case. He suggested that we find proof of Mia's cheating and look into how it affected her relationship with Tom. He also told us to get a defense ready in case my parents did what they said they would do. While all of this was going on, I got another surprise call from Tom's mother. She knew what happened and wanted to thank me for being honest with Tom. She also said, Tom was sad, but glad he found out before making a promise that would last a lifetime. She also said that Tom was planning to start over by moving to a different place. When she called, there was a short break in the chaos. It told me that staying honest was the right thing to do, even though there were instant consequences. There was no getting around the fact that my parents and Mia were wrong, no matter what they did. On that Saturday, things took a very different turn. My parents just showed up at our house out of the blue. I was asked to talk to them because they were so angry. Even though Jake tried to keep them cool, things quickly got worse. A screaming match. My dad told me I was ruining the family, and my mom wailed and asked me to fix things with Mia. They kept telling me they would sue me and cut me off financially if I didn't do what they wanted. I wouldn't give in to being pushed around. I told them what happened because of Mia's acts, and I wouldn't say sorry for telling the truth. My parents walked out of the argument and said they would file a lawsuit. The days that followed were a blur of legal talks and mental pain. While Jake and I were trying to focus on planning our wedding, the stress got too much. We began getting. I got messages from close family members who knew about what happened. Some were supportive, while others criticized my behavior. If Jake is part of the drama, I don't like it because he doesn't deserve it, but I appreciate his support. In the middle of all this, I got a shocking message from Meg, a school friend who told me about Mia's cheating. She offered to give a statement about what happened at her party, which my parents could use as important proof if they wanted to go to court. Thoughts of hope began to form in my mind as Meg helped me gather information. I wasn't ready to give up, but I was determined to stand my ground and fight for what was right. Also, I want to thank you all for being there for me during this tough time. It hasn't been easy, but you've helped me see things clearly. I'll see you all soon. Third update. Hi everyone. It's been a few days and things have really gotten bad. My dad and Mia insisted on getting together to talk about everything in person. Jake and I agreed because we thought that this meeting would finally clear things up and put an end to our problems. We chose to meet at our house so that we could keep things calm and avoid making a scene in public. There was stress in the air when my parents and Mia showed up. When they sat down, I could see that they were excited. They probably thought I was going to say sorry and ask for forgiveness. That being said, I had no plans to back down. First, I talked about the big problem that everyone knew about. They told me they knew why everyone was here today. But before we go any further, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not here to say sorry. I'm here to tell you the truth. My parents and Mia looked at each other puzzled. They clearly weren't expecting this. I took a deep breath and began to explain my point. The cheating from a few months ago was the first thing I talked about. When I asked Mia if it was true that she gave me her phone during our double-date dinner, I saw that she was talking to her ex-boyfriend Mike, even though she was seeing Tom seriously. I also said that she said it was a one-time mistake. We both knew it wasn't true. Yes? I remember Mia's face turning pale, and I saw her moving around in her seat. I went on by pulling out a folder with proof. She was told that I talked to Meg, who had the party last year. She said it was true that Mia had been caught cheating on her boyfriend. This wasn't a one-time mistake, it happened all the time. I gave you Meg's written statement. When my parents and Mia looked at it, they felt a range of emotions, from shock to confusion. That wasn't all, though. I got out one more piece of proof. Mia didn't know that I had texts from her to Meg in which she told Meg she had cheated on Tom and asked Meg not to tell him. Timestamps were put on these letters, so there was no room for question. Print out the notes and put them on the table. My mom let out a gasp, and my dad's face turned red with anger, but this time it looked like it was aimed at Mia instead of me. Then there was the letter and Tom's speech. After our talk, he told me how he addressed Mia and how you finally admitted it. He also talked about how her cheating on him made him feel, which made him decide not to propose. My parents couldn't say a word. They couldn't say anything against the massive proof as they looked at the records in front of them. Mia's eyes were filled with tears. She knew how bad things were, but she didn't say anything. The case will then be talked about. I told my parents very clearly that they could sue me for slander if I didn't stop them, and in mental pain. On the other hand, the facts make it clear that what I said was true. They didn't have the right to stand there. In fact, I had a good case for a lawsuit if they kept going after this. It was quiet in the room. As my parents and Mia thought about what had happened, they looked shocked. Finally, I felt calm after a long time. I felt good about standing up for myself at last. I told Mia one last time that I wasn't doing this to be mean or jealous. It was the right thing to do, so I did it. Mia needs to take credit for what she did because it has results. When it came to my wedding, I sent a simple message: everything was set to go. Jake and I are going to get married, even if they don't agree with us. We won't let anyone ruin our plans. Happiness. When I stood up, the talk ended. I hoped that this would be a turning point for all of us. As I left the room, I felt like the story was over. I knew there would be more problems, but I felt like I was in charge of my life for the first time in a long time. No matter what, my parents and Mia can keep suing. But they know that I will be going after them straight on. It won't help. The help of our friends and family keeps Jake and me going as we start our new life together. My family and I knew that the road to healing would be long and painful, but we were ready to take it on together. I found the peace I had been looking for a long time when I stood up for myself and did the right thing.